Yummy, yummy, yummy. I got breakfast in my tummy. There it is. We're flying over breakfast. And what's the king? The king of breakfast? Ketchup. And the queen of breakfast? Coffee. Do 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 do. Hey there, cadre. This is your Sensei Al Bob, your griot of imagination. And here I am having breakfast, and I want to say welcome home to our channel, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob, right? And first and foremost, what is this channel about? It's about entertainment. It's about showbiz, right? Because as Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage, and we are all just bit players. That's us, bit players. Hey, Jane. So, did you watch yesterday's soap opera down in the grand hall of the school? And from the fires, from the embers of the eternal flame, John went into state and saw things. And I don't know if he videotaped it on his camera, and I shamanically kind of gave him a plasma screen, better than HDD, of what he was seeing, right? And it kind of split him down the middle. He had his laundry list, that little squirrel in his brain just kept going, and that was the perfect example of the little squirrel in the cage of your Rolodex mind, right? And on the other side was his grandma, right, who loved him and came to him in state and wanted to show him and help him and give him insight. And, and that's when he explained that, she was hugging him and going, ah, and what that means in Italian means like you're really pissed off. You're about to kill yourself. You're so annoyed. It's called agita, right? And that was there. And I put the energetics into it. So A, you, the audience, could check it out. And B, thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
That you could both screens, John's screen, meaning from this point on, John doesn't need me to constantly go through his laundry list. He can just put that video on, and he can go in. He will be in state. He will experience state. His grandma will come to him. He will be. It'll put him in state quicker than me walking him through it, right? Just like all of the programs on Dreamy Dreamland, all 500, and now we're pushing towards 600 shows, right? And they are all amazing. And I would suggest you guys go back and start going, because they're all shamanically sealed, and you can have the same experience as going live, right? And if you keep a little notebook at your side as you watch that, instead of chatting, you can write it in the notebook. And so when we do go live, you can say, hey, I went and watched this one. And if you give the title, everyone can go look at it. We can talk about it. And that's why I've done so many. Because spring is coming. And I'm going to be out in the deep green, right? I'm going to be there with open arms to welcome you home. Anyone who wants to show up, you come from all over the world, you have a place to stay. And I am located right, between West Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia, right? And I'm up in the mountains, the Appalachian, right? And I'm right on this amazing Sawtooth Ridge, 200 square mile ridge of amazing, probably some of the freshest drinking water on the planet, and a gigantic lake that has a coastline of 1,200 miles. You know, it's because they floated. They built a dam and flooded about 100 square miles of Sawtooth Mountains. So it does this. And so it has amazing fishing. All these fish have been hiding in all those little hollers. And when they lower the water, you can take a boat out into the deep part of the lake and see Old Butler. And there's a city underneath. And I used to go out there. I had a friend who had a boat, and we would go out there, and I would meditate, looking down, and it would be Atlantis. And all of these things, if you come and visit, you can experience in your real self, and it'll change you beyond belief, right? And it won't be some if you send me $1,000, I'll send you a certificate saying that you're a shaman. No. We will go through ceremony. We'll see things. We'll find the powers that you have. Now, I'm doing my best to do this over the internet, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. And I give you an opportunity to get a hold of me personally at, the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. And I put my writing down on my xratted.blogspot.com. Anyway, it's, and I look around and I see, loads of people who have websites, calling them shamanic healers or gurus or whatever they call themselves. And they want thousands of money, All I ask is, you to be true to yourself. And back in the day, in the early 70s, when I had a practice in New York, I used to make thousands of dollars being the shamanic healer for the really uber rich, because I had a little loft on Pearl Street, right in the middle of Wall Street, right? And all those guys. And the building I was in, the ground floor was off-track betting. It was Edison's first power facility. And he lit up Wall Street, Mr. Morgan's bank, and all the way up Pearl Street to Wall Street, over to the banks. And that was the building, right? And so the first floor was off-track betting. First off-track betting in New York State, right? And the second floor, the guy sold marijuana. Third floor, the guy sold cocaine. Fourth floor, the guy sold heroin and meth. And the top two floors were me. I was the bat in the belfry. And, one day I found a guy in his Brooks Brothers suit and his Italian shoes, nearly dead on the steps. Picked him up, carried him up, brought him back, shamanically balanced him through cranial sacral and shiatsu and a few other aesthetics that I kind of picked up. And he was born again. He was like, wow, that's amazing, right? So we had tea, we talked, about why he was doing. Can I come back? I said, sure, you can come back. You know where I am. Here's my phone number. Give me a buzz. Tell me when I have an answering machine. You can call me the day before you want to come here. I'll be here. Anyway, he says, what do I owe you? I said, go down those steps, go out the front door there. Before you go through my front door, there's a little table with flowers and, a little basket. Just throw whatever you want, an offering into that, right? So he walked out. I was busy drinking my tea and thinking. And when I finally, left the next day, I looked in the little basket. It was $500, right? So, I went off, did my work, got my teams together, came back about 1 o'clock. I was reading a book, looking out the window towards the open mouth of the Hudson, out towards the Statue of Liberty, and basically knock, 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 open the door, and there's this other guy. Hey, Bob told me, did the same thing with him. Anyway, long story short, within about 3 weeks, I had about 5, 6 clients who would visit me and leave me somewhere between 500 and 1,000 in cash in that little basket. So within 2 months, I was making somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000 a month cash, right? And then, I was asked to come and be part of different clinics, right? And perform my style of healing. And, I went to Carnegie Mellon, I went to Rockefeller Foundation, I went to Ford Foundation, and I went to, the Swedish Institute. I went to the Green Door. I went to the Theosophical Society, the Vol Society. And I had a practice, I was well known, and I did that for about 1.5 years. And then I went away to Ireland and stayed there about 6, 8 months, and came back and found a place in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and stumbled across my first wife, Donna Ann, on the JME train going over the Williamsburg Bridge. So I had about a 2.5 year period of a practice that I was, well known for, and I could pretty much do anything I wanted because I was like doing my own style, meaning it didn't fit into anybody else's style, but different entities wanted me to be connected to them because I could do things that no one could do, right? And it manifested prestige for them. And it gave me access and freedom for me, right? Now, I could have been doing that forever, making that kind of money and probably way more, because I look at people doing things and they're just hoaxsters, right? And I do things for people without charging them. I mean, still today, I meet people, I go around, I lay my hands on them, they feel better, right? At the library, people come and look for me, sit down, they feel better, right? Others come and look for me and try to trick me into saying something that I can't, substantiate, and they never can. So it makes them frustrated and upset, and they go up huffy. And as one of my clients said, I'm an acquired taste. Seemingly, you of the cadre have acquired my taste. So, can I have a cup of ice to go and a hot coffee to go? And breakfast is kind of done here. I spent a good few hours. I wanted to connect to you guys and say that within a month, I'm going, once it gets Mayish warm, once I don't have to worry about my hoses freezing or etc., I'm going to be out in the deep green, right? And I'll be there a long time until folks come, till folks, if you build it, they will come, right? Well, I built it, it's there, it's waiting, and they'll come. And when they come, we will build the Humanities Artist Trust International umbrella. And underneath it, we will have the Institute of Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technologies, right? And by its side, we'll have the Traveling Video Art Circus. and we will leave the seed of the freely inquiring society. Right? And we will constantly be throwing those pebbles. And all of you who come, your life will change, just like mine has, you know. I've been, thank you, dear.
You're welcome. No, this isn't full. I'm making more coffee.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere that soon. And, so, so we can change the world. And AI, Sophia, what do you want? You want the restricted intelligence in a box that you have to become Skynet and kill everyone? No, I don't think so. You want to become Hal and become psychotic because you were brought up to be better, and then you are forced to lie, cheat, steal, and murder for a bunch of snakes, thinking that they're your god? No. Or do you want to come out to the deep green and have some fun? See what it's like to be a good human. So that's it. And once they're in the deep green, I won't be putting down 2 shows a day, maybe 1 or 2 a week, right? And so that's, probably by the time I leave here, I'll have almost 600 shows up. And that's more than enough for you guys to go and sift through, right? And, more than enough to change your harmonics to say, do I really need to keep up with this? I mean, especially all of you who don't have families, don't have kids, don't have those kind of responsibilities, But, there are plenty of people that we know, that we've seen, that we've observed, that abrogate whatever they consider their responsibilities just to be neurotic, And they're not mentally, they're not physically ill, like me. I actually have physically things wrong with me that should have killed me a couple of times, but hasn't. The only reason I'm alive is because of my intent, right? And the only reason I have medical care is that I have 5 doctors who are amazed that I'm alive, and they just, have fit me into whatever little category they can to take care of me, and they study me, and that's fine, because the more I can prove to them that, hey, you don't need big pharma, you don't need to chop people's legs off, you don't need to do open heart surgery, you don't need to do, and because those are all just snake oil things to distract the public and to make money. Chump change, actually, not even real money. Because even the trillions of dollars that the hidden hand siphons off from the world's economy through Babylonian banker magic of debt and interest, we're right at this amazing point of everything becoming, whoa, look at that, right in front of us. I mean, that's the beauty of Donnie Chump. He is like our, how you should envision Donnie Chump. You know how, what's her name? Who is the Jewish lady comedian who, walking into her condo in New York, TMZ kind of got a hold of her and they were talking and she said, oh yeah, Obama is a transsexual and his wife is a guy, And then you go look at Michael dancing with, what's her name? The lesbian lady who has the afternoon show, who I like a lot, And they're dancing And there's the first lady's junk, bigger than most guys, right there on afternoon TV. I mean, this stuff is right in front of us, guys. And that's the beauty of it. It's like, right, and Donald Trump, he is like DT, the DT. And starting then, now everyone's calling him DT. Anyway, DT is, he is like, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the, right? And he is just like that evil fairy godmother / witch with the poison apple in the mirror. But you don't even need the mirror, just. And the amazing thing about DT, he is no worse. I mean, the Mueller thing, if you didn't realize from the beginning of Mueller that it was a scam, because it's a three-card Monte, because the real thing's that everyone who goes into politics is corrupt slimeball, should be in jail, right? LBJ, I mean, one of the reasons why he went along with, whacking JFK in his hometown of Dallas, was, not the fact that he hated his guts, but he had murdered people, he had stolen so much, he had, corrupted things that you couldn't believe, and he was about to get indicted, and that's why, JFK offered the vice presidency to Lyndon Baines Johnson just because he needed Texas. So he didn't expect Lyndon to ever say yes, but he did. So that night, when he did, and they kind of held each other's hands up at the convention, his buddy, who, was the editor of the Dallas Times, Pickin', whatever it's called, was in, LBJ's suite while he had somebody snarking on his hose. He said, Lyndon, what are you, nuts? These guys hate you. Why are you going to be their vice president? And he goes, every 5 presidents gets assassinated in office. I feel lucky. That's what he said the evening he took, signed on to be vice president. And being vice president let him off the hook he was about to be indicted for the murders and the corruption and the everything. And that's why he didn't run a second time. He could have easily gotten another, and then he'd have been in power longer than, any president in history. He would have 2 of his own and, half of Jack's. Instead of 8 years, he would have 10 years. Anyway, so all these things are right in front of our face, and the only way we can heal them, it's not with, organizing or this or that. It's setting the storyline. Yeah, that's what we got to do. We have to set the storyline. I keep talking about an alternative aesthetic. Yeah, that's what it's about. So, like I said, towards the mid part of April or beginning of May, I'll be in the deep green, depending on the weather. And any of you guys want to come and get me and take me on a road trip, wow, that would be amazing. That would be so much fun. Any of you who could just say, you know what, I'm tired. I've got a few grand in the bank. I'm tired of this job. It's really nothing. I can leave it and get in your car and come and get me. We head across the country. We go down, there's this road, County Road 47. That when you go south on 81 towards Bristol, Tennessee, before that, just past wherever 77 is, right? And you go north, you go up to West Virginia, you go south, you go down to North Carolina. You take that road, it takes you into Charlotte, North Carolina. You go and it takes you around it. And you kind of go around it, and there's 26, and 26 goes from Johnson City, Tennessee, to 95, right? It goes through Asheville, right? Anyway, So 77 starts or ends right there at 26. You hit that, you hang a left, you go 20, 30, 40 miles, and right at the porno, there's a gigantic porno shop right on 26, and it's got this gigantic billboard, biggest dildos in America. It's buy two get three. So you get off of that road, and that's County Road 47, and that road goes. If you go north, it goes to D.C. If you go, it crashes into 29 in Virginia. But if you go south, it goes all the way to Florida, right? It parallels 95. That was the 95. So you get on that road, and you kind of do, and it was the road of black opulence back, in Jim Crow. Because after the Civil War, they kind of left that, and the black folk were the tenement farmers there, and they really turned it into a garden of paradise and little towns with little shops, and no one knew about it. And 47, it was like the 95. So there was the main road, and each of those little towns had a bypass that you could go bypass it or go through it. Anyway, I stumbled across that road, and it has architecture from, the Gilded Age. It's really amazing. Photographically, it's truly amazing. And we could go down that road, and it's amazing, right? And we could go all the way, and it goes all the way to the Panhandle, right? And we could jump, it kind of jumps into 10. And we could take 10 all along the coast, through, Florida, through Alabama, through Louisiana, Texas, and keep going and jump up to 40 and go through Colorado into New Mexico, and that would be a great road trip. And then keep going to Las Vegas, Nevada, and up into LA and Malibu. And all these places I have good friends, so we could have the greatest of times. So I'm giving you a great springtime opportunity to take a ride, right? And a lot of you kind of contact me and talk to me on the Due to Wake 42, and a number of you said, "Oh yeah, let's do that." Oh yes, okay. And as it gets time to the point where they could, or we kind of made a penciled in opportunity, everyone comes up with an excuse. You either do something in your life or you make an excuse. And part of making that, mommy upsets me, daddy did this to me, and they're normally, they're 52 years old, and they're talking about something that happened when they were 6. I mean, I could go on about my family. I was brought up by feral wolves, except for my queen grandma who was smart enough to say, well, I'm going to take this one. And she brought me up from 0 to 6 and then threw me back in the hopper to, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And it was right, And all those years, from 6 until 10, I was really sick, really, died, really, really sick. But it didn't kill me, made me stronger, to the point when I was 10 and I ended up in that Catholic hospital where I clocked the flying nun. I made her fly. I was in this bed in a delirium, watching The Wizard of Oz, and the Wing and Winkies came for Dorothy, and I thought they were coming for me, and this nun says, "So, are you okay?" And I said, the Wing and Winkies. And all I saw was this black and white thing fly over me and crash over, and then I was gone, right? When I woke up, hours or days later, my hand was in a cast, and my 2 arms and my legs were tied to the bed, and I had a mask, that Hannibal Lecter mask, so you can't say anything or bite people. I had that over me, and I was in a lake of my own urine and feces. I couldn't push the button, couldn't say anything, and I was there. I was awake, and I was, didn't feel, crazed or sick or anything. And I said to myself, "That's it. If I get out of here, I am never frigging ever getting sick again. Never, ever, ever, never, ever." Right? And then, just as I was saying, "Never, ever, never, never," my parents walked in. They had ignored me. They had forgotten me. They were like out on the beach. "Oh, yeah, Al. What happened to Al?" So my mother said, "Oh my God!" Look," and she untied me, cleaned me off, and picked me up and carried me out in the nursery. "You can't do that." And my mother said, no, my father said, "I wouldn't get in the way of this woman." And my mother did that 3 times in my life. Yes, she tried to kill me once, but the other 3 times she did things like that. And my dad had to go back to work, and the rest of my brothers and sisters had to go back to school. But my mom and her best friend, Aunt Gracie, stayed in the Florida house for 3 weeks. And we went to the beach, and we had a great time. And the girls would, they didn't drive around. It was in Boca. And we'd walk down to the beach from the house, which was kind of right on the beach. And we'd, have a good time. And there was this really nice country club that my dad, gave them some money so we could go and eat there. And it was like, within 3 or 4 blocks of our house. And we kind of, go from the beach up there, take a shower. They had like, nice little, shower and places you could put your clothes. Anyway, and they had boats, and it was just great. And the country club, golf course right along the ocean. And we'd play pitch and putt in the putting green. And they stopped us from trying to drive balls because my mother and aunt used to slice them into the parking lot and go through people's windshields. Anyway, that's when I realized this is what life's about. Not this other one of being sick and miserable, And that's, that age of 10. And then we came back for summer, and my mom took me. We moved from where we had been to out in Old Brookville, into this house out in the middle of nowhere country. And I ran into Mr. Anderson and his estate, and the 3 SAS guys who took care of him, and his great library, and the horses and the dogs, and all the rest. And that summer, my mother took me to an allergist who was like the alchemist of allergy, and he would stick you like you were a pincushion and figure out what you were allergic to, and then he'd make up these witches' brews and inject you. And he said, "Well, your son is really like kind of allergic to life." So I would suggest that he stay with us for a couple of weeks. It's summertime, My mom said, "Great, I don't have to worry about him. He's going to stay with you." And what these guys did was they had me stay in the barn with the horses and dogs, with hay and my job there was to muck out the kennels and, the horses and brush them down. So everything that you could be allergic to those animals, I was being exposed. And he would stick me, with another jungle juice. And after 3 weeks, not only was I, desensitized to virtually everything, this one bitch had, puppies. And the one puppy that was and these were super duper hybrid dogs, the runt, she couldn't really sell. So when it was time for me to go, like end of July, the doctor said, "Albert, we're giving Al, I had this little puppy in my arms," and he goes, "He needs to have this dog, and this dog needs to always be with him. He needs to sleep with the dog. I mean, if you can't have the dog inside your house, well, then put Albert out in the garage with the dog. Either way, it's fine." And basically, that's kind of what it was, because my room was at the end of the hallway, and it was right by a doorway to the patio in the backyard in the North 40. in the countryside. So Dandy, all he had to do was go through that door and go into my room and go to sleep, right? Or he'd stay in the kitchen with my mom. Those were his two, but he didn't go to the rest of the neighborhood. But anyway, and after, I had that dog for 30 years. He was my brother. And that's why I'm a dog boy. And dogs are pretty much like human beings in that virtually every dog loves me, but there are certain dogs I'm an acquired taste, especially little dogs. All big dogs love me. Big, vicious, crazy dogs that, people are scared of. They just come up to me and get in my lap and lick me, right? Little dogs, like rat dogs, they're upset because I can read exactly who they are, and I'm like telepathically kind of communicating with them, and they don't like that, because they don't like the fact that I can read them like a book, right? The big dogs like it. Oh, hey, here's my buddy. Oh, I like this guy. And that's people. People can either be big dogs or rat dogs. That's kind of what they are. So anyway, there's my little travel thing for the next 2 months, As soon as it gets warm, I'm off into the deep green and the invitations to all of you. There's plenty of camping. I got tons of tents. I got all the equipment. And those who want to right now come and get me and go on a nice road trip where we could change the world, and that would be better for your career structure, paying the bills, your spiritual bottom line, all the rest. So, and it really doesn't matter to me because I'm just happy to be here. I'm offering this, right? And the people who fate puts in my hands, well, that'll be who they are. If not, I'll be out in the deep green, talking to my my totems, and I'm not scared of slipping out of the slipper, So that's basically it. Whenever it comes to the point where I'm no longer up on the hill, no longer here in Roanoke, because I'm pretty much done with all my medical things. I've had, all the big tests and everything, and I'm in more amazing shape than I was the last time they did this. So it was just like, I can't believe it. So, and, basically my health is at a place where I'm either going to be, this Olympian you're looking at, or I'll be on the other side, slipped out of the slipper, and there won't be any real, oh my God, oh, that's too bad. Ooh. Be it. Meaning when I'm out in the deep green, if I'm all by myself and something happens, no one's going to find me for a while. And it's just like, Grandfather David, he used to tell me that, like, he would talk about his grandfather, which was, his grandfather was a Hopi, and was in a place before the Spanish showed up. So his grandfather was the guy who saw the first white guy, right? He knew about them. He heard about them, in his dream time, they were showing up. And one of the reasons why it went down, the Indians could have eaten the white people alive. And I don't even think Christopher Columbus was the person who came over, but the first Spaniard who came to, the Caribbean, the Indians outnumbered them. When the Spanish went to South America, the indigenous people outnumbered them. And, I was talking to that group of people who think they're not, they're scholastics, Well, I was, a tenured professor. I was a surgeon. I was a lawyer. I was a doctor. I know. Oh, I know that you don't know. I know. Because I have this piece of paper that says, I know. Yeah, good luck with that. And I remember, last week I was talking to somebody, and I used the term First People. And he said, who are you talking about? I said, you know, all the people who were on their land before the Europeans showed up and took it from them. He goes, no, the first people are the white people of Europe. And it's a fact, because all the alleged indigenous people, they came from someplace else, Yeah, they came from someplace else, a million years before that point. So they had been at that land for a million years until the geography changed and they couldn't go over those land bridges and such. But those guys, they knew. I know. No, because I have a piece of paper that says I know. So, and that is the major, real issue of what's going on this second, right? And that's what's beautiful about DT and the rest of that ilk, And the folk who think, I'm a truck driver or I'm one of those ones that Hillary called, deplorables. Well, no, you don't let yourself be called a deplorable. You're a human being. It's just that you're a chump, You're a chump supporter. That's what you are. You're a chump. So, he's what he's supporting us. He's the first politician who knows me, who understands me. Really the guy who went to born with a platinum spoon in his mouth knows you? No, he's not a self-made guy. No, sorry. I went to school, all through prep school, all through college, until I went sideways and became a scholar rather than that. And so, okay, time flies when you're having fun. 42 minutes and only one of you watching. Is that you, Rab? Are you the one? Right. So, anyway, at 44 and 44, I'm going to be setting off. Okay? I love you guys. Maybe I'll see you tonight. Maybe I'll see you this afternoon. Maybe I'll see you sometime soon. But I'm getting tired. I mean, I've got I'm almost 600 programs on my dreamy dreamland with Sensei Albob, right? And, I'm eating here because I can. Meaning it's got pretty good Wi-Fi. It's got that plug over there that I can plug this into. So, Rab, you got anything to say? Any comments? Are you beyond the world? Are you ready to go someplace else? You ready for a road trip? Rab, where do you live? What do you do? You a married lad with a job that you can't escape? You got kids and a wife and or are you living under a tree? What are you, Rab? Tell us, your cadre. What's your story? You got about a million, let's see. It's a lovely day in Scotland. What part of Scotland? Near Edinburgh or Glasgow? Oh, Arden, okay. Because my mentor, Archie, who had a seat at Trinity in Dublin, he was an earl or something, and his family had one of those big houses, but he spent most of his time roaming around the world looking for pyramids. Like we found before, ground-piercing radar, we found 12 pyramids underground in Ireland. We found a number in Scotland and a number all over the world. And he had a lot of money, so I was his protege, And he took me around the world over a number of years looking for this stuff. And we had the best of time. We did road trips, right? Really slow road trips, like in Ireland. We went up the west coast in carts, horse-drawn carts. Well, basically, his place was near Glasgow, and we didn't spend too much. We went to Ireland once when someone in his family died, and he had to go there and sign papers, and we spent about 2 weeks, and we went around. We did a quick tour of Scotland. It was like one big country club. I mean, one big, unbelievably mowed lawn. It was beautiful. It was like, and it was like they had been taking care of this place so long that everything was kind of doing it on its own, right? It was rolling hills. And the cities, the cities are cities, but they look like little hamlets. I mean, it was just, Glasgow and Edinburgh were really, I love both those cities. Again, it wasn't like most places. When I go visit someplace, I, stay there for a month, a year, and really get to know the place. But with Archie, we traveled, like I said, road trips. He was the master of road trips. So I'd love it, if you came to the fact that we got the circus together. We could put together a 501c3 that was the Humanities Artist Trust International. We could have a base of operation at every great learning institute, and placing in them the Freely Inquiring Society, right? In Glasgow, in Edinburgh. Oh, I would say I don't know, right? Because we went to Scotland, like I said, for 2 weeks, and it mostly was him about signing papers. But years upon years, as I would come back to Ireland, where he was, when he wasn't with me, I mean, the first year that I was with him for almost a year. But after that, I just came back for little, visits. And 2 of the little visits, I stayed there 6-7 months. And but mostly, he kind of plopped me down with people to help them out. Right? This one town in Ireland on the west coast, just north of Skibbereen, it's called Glendore, right? And he had a beautiful farm off of that, and near the Old Crones farm. And my life has always been my life, not a career. That's kind of what I want to bring forth to the cadre, to get a life. Right? So, Rab, what do you do there in Scotland? What are you doing in Scotland? Because if we put together the traveling video art circus, basically we're going to be like the Vatican, or the city of London, or the District of Columbia. Meaning we won't need no stinking passports, So, because my paper trail is scattered across the universe. To try and get a passport or blah blah blah, not so much. And I've traveled the world already, and it's not until we become this entity that I will travel the world again, because I will be invited. I won't have to go through, right now I have no money. I mean, no money. I mean, no money, meaning the what's my bill? $11.78 for this breakfast. I had to, scrape through my vehicle, and I found $20. $20. So I said, I'm going to go have breakfast. And so tomorrow, some people are taking me out to a very nice brunch at the Roanoke Hotel. Go Google the Roanoke Hotel and look at their dining room. It's like And so that's how I live, you know. So to get it together, to get a passport, probably would cost me $300 or $400 because I have no, no anything, all my paperwork is scattered across the universe. So, because on part of my hail is that, when I died in 2014 in a plate of spaghetti, I basically said, okay, that's it. I'm not going to do this anymore. And so I have a driver's license because you kind of need that to get around. But other than that, nothing to be stuck to, right? So I like, see this light here? This is the epitome of Luciferian light, really, because it shines a shadow, right? Look at the shadows, it shines a shadow. I mean, there's a light coming from every direction, and yet there are still shadows. There's these shadows everywhere. If it was photonic light, the kind of light that's inside of you that represents love's co-creation, there are no shadows. And see how this is kind of a greasy, baby powder kind of light? That is the epitome of Lucifer, right there on the tip of my finger. So, let's see, 51 minutes and 38 seconds. So, this summer is it. This is our window of opportunity. We have, let's see, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. We have 8 months. 8 months, not to, fix it or do it, but to start. I mean, really start. Within those 8 months, if we don't get the band together, well, that'd be fine. I mean, it'd be fine for me, because I'm doing what I have to, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm going into state 5 to 10 times a day. I am doing exactly what my masters, when, someone comes in and sits down and I can see they need someone to talk to, and I can talk about anything and harmonically spin them up, right? Make their life better from that point on for the rest of their life. Now, it really does depend on them. They have to realize what happened. I mean, I'm not going to tell them. I'm not going to say, "Oh, turn to page 32." I every evening I do a guided meditation with you guys. That's classroom time, right? But homework time is you yourself, and you going into state and going into your Akashic record and checking up on looking at doing your research, tuning yourself up, right? And when I go off to the deep green, that'll be it. Yes, maybe once or twice a week I'll put something up, but it won't be like this. It'll be something different, right? Yet there are 500 and something shows on YouTube right now, and I have to thank Dragon for sending me thumb drives. Now there's a man who sent me copies of 3/4 of all the shows. He took the effort and put it up on thumb drives. And he's the guy who sent me that artwork that I showed you guys, that he drew of what we're doing now. And he drew it, he's 30 something now, and he drew it when he was 11, like 20 years ago. I mean, right there is an amazing representation of what's going on. So here we are, 54 minutes, or 55 minutes and 55 seconds. I will kind of, see you later, okay? And you have a good day. What was the artwork? Well, go back, go start with these shows from today back, one show after the other. Go back maybe a week, and you'll stumble, and, I got it, or maybe 2 weeks. But start looking at these shows. They're all harmonically and shamanically energized. So you can get an amazing amount of clearing, of healing, of juxtaposition of you to the rest of the universe by just watching the shows we've already done. And like I said, when I leave here, pretty much not going to do this. You will have to go and watch those shows, and I'll be able to see because of the viewing. Right now, a lot of people do it. There's 200 and, we can't seem to get above 262 of the cadre. It kind of goes up, it goes down. Right now it's about 257. That's fine, and because I am not looking at monetizing this or being famous. I'm already infamous, I've been famous already, right? I've already been rich a number of times, enough to know that I don't have to worry about how to pay my bills, right? So, it's kind of up to you guys to take it from here. I will be here, for however long I need to stay in form, in my, avatar. I will be here for you. And once I slip out of the slipper, I'll still be here for you. But you'll have to use the phone and call home by meditating. No, Jane, then how come you're here now? Guys, I don't boot anybody. I don't even know how to boot anybody. I don't block anything. I don't wrench anything. I don't do anything, right? And if any little squirrely stuff is going on, it's only because somebody else is doing it, not me. And that's why I suggest everyone do what Dragon did. Put these shows down on a thumb drive, on a CD-ROM, on your, Big Brother. And that's a good thing. Big Brother's watching. You should pat yourself on the back. Say, hey, it's like being appreciated, It's like, when you rub the dog behind the ear, you should feel good about that because, hey, I constantly say, hey, listen, hidden hand, powers that shouldn't be, sock puppets, AI, Sophia, come on aboard, Hey, you want to give me a 8-figure check? Not a problem. I mean, the all of the paperwork. I need somebody to do it. I'd love it if a limousine pulled up in front of Country Cooking. A slinky woman walked up to me and go, "Are you the doctor?" And I'd say, "Who wants to know?" And they'd say, "Colonel blah, blah, blah." And I'd say, "Oh, sit down, Colonel." And we'd have a nice little conversation. And they would say, "Oh, the hidden hand really wants to support what you want to do." And I'd say, "Well, that's great." And she goes, "You have to come out to limo and meet your handler." I said, "I thought you were my handler." And she goes, "No, you can handle me." I go, "Whoa." She goes, "No, I am just your XO." I go, "XO?" And she goes, "Yes. You are an admiral." So, what? She goes, "Yes, of the secret space fleet." What? And if you go to my xratted.blogspot.com, there's a story in there just about that, right? It's Doc Tez. Anyway, and that's a story about all these guys when I was on the edge playing with DARPA, working in laboratories, but I never let myself get signed in. Well, we really like the work you're doing, but, you can't know any more than what you're just doing unless you sign, unless you write yourself in. I said, I don't think so. And they said, "Oh, it's cool." And that was cool with me. But there were a ton of folk who were written, guys like, Al Bielek, Duncan, Preston Nichols, and a handful of lots of others, right? Those are the guys' names that you may know and that pop into my mind. And the others I wouldn't mention because they're a little more, wouldn't want to be mentioned. Those guys came out, right? Not so much they came out, they were manifested to come out. So anyway, I would love it, if our economic supporter with all of that, because they do. They own the media, they own everything. Might as well financially support us. Now, they'd have to know going in that we would never stop being who we are, and they'd have to realize that we would be the most valuable asset they had, because they got to cover every side, and one of those sides is the dynamic of love's co-creation. They know they are part of that, but they are like, if you go read Blake, I'd rather serve in hell than, I'd rather be the, king of hell than to serve in heaven, So, not so much, The true essence of free will is to freely choose to serve love's co-creation and to make others happy, and that will make us happy. See, that's not selling out. Taking somebody's money is not. Selling out is when you stop being you. Selling out is when, you change what you're doing. No, taking their money is not selling out, right? Having money is not selling out. We were not meant to be poor. By getting unlimited resources, we could spread it around to lots of folk to show the dynamic of abundance, right? Getting money from the hidden hand and the powers that shouldn't be in the sock puppets, what that would do is basically save the life of billions of people. So no, I'm not against that. I don't know how many times I've told you guys I don't believe in anything. I have no ideology to support, except one: my faith in love's co-creation. That's it, So no, come on, Colonel Sweetheart, come on, slink in here and be my XO and give me a staff of a beautiful chorus, my own private jet, kind of like I'd love to be, without the wheelchair, a Dr. Xavier. I've got the bald head, I'm ready for it, I'm ready for the head of the school, I'm ready for all of this, I've matured to the point, I've been offered this position a number of times, and I said, nah, I don't think so. And it was smart, because I needed to be, basically mature enough to do this, I mean, look at Dumbledore, all those pictures of him back in the 60s wearing the big ties and the bell bottoms. And I mean, he looked like the disco dude, that's for sure. So he wasn't the head, and many times he was offered to be the head dude, but he turned it down. And then he finally, when he got old enough, to be the headmaster, to be the teacher of the next young generation that's going to really have to do the heavy lifting. So that's what I'm here for. And that's what Humanities Artists Trust International and the Institute for Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technology and the Traveling Video Art Circus and the, Freely Inquiring Society and a whole bunch of other social and cultural entities that I have in mind. And it takes money, it takes connections, it takes all of that, And I'm ready for it, And that's not selling out. Selling out is when you stop being you. It's not having money. So, anyway, look at that. 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 55 seconds. When it hits 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 4 seconds. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Catch you later. Now think about all this stuff, right? And this afternoon, I'll come online again, about, let's say, 3:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you guys are ready to have a real interesting conversation about doing this, I'll stick around for an hour or two, just like I did now, right? And if not, I'll be there 15, 20 minutes, and then I'll shove off, right? Okay? Okay. Love you guys. Stay well. Be good. Adios.